Chapter 2. Hi, Stranger. Man, it's probably been 8 or 10 years since I've set foot into this time capsule. Hey, Mom, do you still have my stethoscope? Reth yelled down the stairs. He stayed still for a moment to hear her response, but received silence instead. He shrugged, then walked over to his worn-out thin mattress, with sheets that depicted world maps and world currency, and gently sat down for fear of breaking the archaic furniture. He chuckled as he revisited memories of his childhood days and the crazy people he met along the way. He realized more had changed than he thought, but one thing remained the same. That adventurous kid who loved to travel and learn new things was still alive within. He got out of bed and walked around the room, spinning the many globes he had come to collect over the years, and paid special attention to the very first one he received from one of his mentors. He couldn't believe she was gone, and once again he had to bury one of his childhood icons. Dr. J.H. was highly educated and overqualified for her role as a homeroom teacher and English teacher for the class of '05, but that never bothered her. She would be the saving grace the school never realized they needed until she started making changes that angered parents, but expanded the minds of her students. Each year, she applied for a transfer just so she could stay with the class, to ensure they would be the brightest bunch to graduate. Some said she had a point to prove, and others figured she just wanted to do right by her students. But the motive didn't matter to the principal of Edgar High, as he saw 95% of the '05 graduating class get accepted to a college or begin a trade of their choice. "King, are you up there?" Reth's mom called out from the bottom of the attic stairs. Reth carefully climbed down the rickety stairs to embrace his mom. The two hugged each other tightly, as it was the second time in less than a year Reth had been hit with death, and he was growing tired of it. "How are you holding up?" Charlene asked, staring lovingly at her son. "I'm good, Ma. I just don't like it. If the people you look up to pass away, what does that leave you with?" "A legacy to branch off of," she smiled. "I guess." He shrugged, looking away. "Although it feels like I did enough by being a generous giver to her cause, I can't help but feel not worthy enough to mourn her. I barely kept in touch with her," he reflected. Charlene's smile tightened in sympathy as she walked her son into the kitchen, where she glanced at him for imperfections. "You know it's part of life, death. It will come for every last one of us, so we have to live our best lives with no regrets," she lectured, ending her statement with a forewarning glance. "What are you saying? You lived your best life and can croak any minute?" Reth mocked. "Oh, so you don't think your mother had a good life?" "Or I don't think it was good enough to warrant you leaving anytime soon," he replied, walking to the fridge. "I definitely did live an amazing life, and still am. This Stella never lost her groove, you know." She chuckled. "Maybe, but living as someone's trophy wife that would stay in a box until he was ready doesn't seem like living." "Oh, is that how you feel?" She chuckled in response. "You and Pops had not lived together since I was in the 3rd grade, but you waited until he passed, barely a year ago, to find someone to actually love you. You nor anyone would understand what your father and I had, but we respected each other, and I knew what I signed up for when I married him. What you or anyone saw did not and does not take away from how your father loved me," she corrected sternly. "You signed up for an afterthought relationship and conjugal visits? You may think you're too grown, but I would bend you over my knee. Watch how you talk to me." "I mean no harm, Ma. I'm just tired of everyone and their BS. Let's all just keep it real so no one gets left in the dark and no one gets hurt." "Keeping it real doesn't mean people don't get hurt, son. The truth hurts more than a beautiful lie," she explained as she admired her son's resemblance to her late husband. He shrugged and let out a huff. She smiled and opened her arms, and he rushed in for a hug. "Love you, Ma." "Love you too. Pain in my butt." She giggled. "Are you ready for this?" He shook his head, yes, then began to walk to the front door so they could head over to the funeral service. It was bright and early. Just like Dr. J.H. loved her students, notes were pinned to every seat with quotes from their beloved educator, so everyone could read her words one last time. Reth unpinned his note and read it a bit teary-eyed. He sat down trying to control the anger he felt instead of socializing as he expected to. I should have visited more and spoken to her more instead of giving her a dumb life excuse attached to a check, he whispered to himself. The last time he saw her, she was giving him a hug in condolences to the passing of his father. And here he was about to do the same for her family. It just didn't seem right. Oh, look who it is. King Razzle Dazzle Pop, a voice exclaimed from the back. Reth turned to see who it could be and started grinning and shaking his head as he made eye contact. The two men greeted each other with their personalized handshake and hugged. Damn, you looking better than I expected. I heard that side hoes were going through a recession, Jimmy joked. Nah, your girl stays needing a real man to finish the job when you fall asleep, so we will forever stay in business, Reth rebutted. Damn, it's like that? Jimmy exclaimed as he glanced over Reth's shoulder. Mrs. King, it is always a pleasure to see you. Charlene stood and gave Jimmy a hug. You would think you two don't see each other every week or so. I don't know what you mean. This man is a stranger to me, Jimmy joked as he took a seat next to his best friend. Where's the missus? Actually, how are you even here? Thought you weren't going to come, Reth questioned. Remember the checkup we had to go to? Well, she was ordered on bed rest because she's like almost 3 centimeters dilated in only 30 weeks. I really didn't want to leave her alone, but the wife figured I should pay my respects since Dr. H sent us such a wonderful housewarming gift. And when I told her about the pregnancy, she got the wife all kinds of books and suggested the doctor. We owe her a lot. Seems like that's her M.O., giving more than she takes, Reth reflected. He then chuckled and shook his head. I can't believe your corny ass will be someone's daddy. Well, to somebody's daddy. Hey, let's get this straight. I've always been someone's daddy, but I'm about to be a father of beautiful or handsome twins. Jimmy laughed. Charlene looked over at both men with a scold, and they straightened up. Isn't it crazy, seeing old classmates we haven't seen since high school? Jimmy whispered, as he waved to passing classmates. Actually, it feels nostalgic, especially noticing that a lot of these men and women are a part of her legacy, Reth responded proudly. Jimmy nodded in agreement and stared ahead at the casket a few feet away. It's crazy how the best of them really go before the worst of them. You couldn't get any of us in this room together for anything else but Dr. H. I guess it's all for the best. Hey, do you think they expect us to use her full name today? I really don't remember it, and even this pamphlet got only initials. I saw it somewhere, but I'm not sure I will use it. She didn't want us saying it then, so there's no difference now, he responded sternly. I was afraid you were going to be in this headspace. What are you talking about? I did nothing or said nothing, Reth dismissed. Your tone. Then again, a heathen like you wouldn't notice, huh? You haven't attended church ever since her passing, and you were barely coming after your pop passed. Found her name on page 2. Her name is so dated. Whew, maybe that's why she never used it, Reth chuckled. You can't ignore me for much longer. I will tell your mama on you. Hey, you think the homie will be here? Jimmy asked. I have no clue who homie is. Do you have a name? Jimmy's eyes stayed busy, looking around the tent, hoping to spot a specific face. Never mind, just talking shit again. The pastor stood at the front of the tent, and the service began leading into everyone paying homage to their beloved teacher. After final words were said, Reth helped Dr. H's surviving daughter to the front where she pressed the button for the casket to descend into the ground. A classmate belted out the words for I Was Here by Beyoncé as everyone around mourned a community icon. There were no dry eyes in the 100-plus crowd that had taken over the cemetery. A final prayer was said, then droves were released, and people made their way back to their cars for the last portion of the service. Dr. H left $500,000 for the class she was teaching and asked as a dying wish her donation be matched or exceeded to help that class afford tuition at a bridge college and trade school. So the class of '05 decided to do a fundraising event as well as donate to fulfill her wishes. Reth and Jimmy showed up to their old high school gym that was well decorated to transform it into a banquet hall where dinner would be served during the donation drive. The two men were asked to be the co-hosts of the donation drive since they were recognized by their community as generous contributors. They walked in and took in their surroundings. This looks amazing. That graduating class went all out to make sure this function looked legitimate, and I like it. This makes me proud that I donated so much to them. My money isn't being wasted. Jimmy smiled. We have to exceed these goals and hopefully afford to spill some funding into the next class because $500,000 cannot fund an entire class with the average tuition fees, Reth expressed. So, what amount do we really have to hit, Math Whiz? Jimmy teased. Hey, this Math Whiz made you a lot of money to where you could open your own business. Who would have thought that shampoo parlors would make so much money? It's more than a shampoo. It's a scalp retreat and mental reset, Jimmy rebutted. Such a corny tagline. Reth chuckled. Hey, don't hate because you are still on Wall Street running game for the man. The men both chuckled and glanced around the room to see who was in attendance and how full the room was before getting on stage. Hey guys, we're about to start, so get in position so we can get things rolling, Principal Abbott directed. The men shook hands and got in place to begin the donation drive. While on stage, their charisma and fun nature lightened the mood in the room and created an atmosphere of hope, optimism, and pride. Calls came in, donating beyond their expectations and overwhelming the operators. We want you guys to know that these students need more than just money. They need your support as mentors for any job opportunities or intern opportunities you could put on the table for them. Not every person wants to attend a college, but learning a trade while being paid could set them up for life. So if you have a business or work in human resources, please reach out and line up jobs for these young expectant students who will work hard to earn their way, Reth exclaimed. Exactly what he said, people. We need you. Your community needs you, so show up for them, Jimmy reiterated. After the last few words, the principal cued them off stage, where they were able to take a break and grab some food. Reth found himself staring at Jimmy, who had been consistently searching the room as if he expected to see someone. Who was that? Jimmy asked, with a full mouth and perked eyes. Reth's eyes darted up in the direction of Jimmy's head, and his heart dropped as its gut churned. He knew there was a chance he would see her here, but she had not returned home since she graduated high school. He was quickly realizing he was less prepared for their interaction, or lack of one, than he thought. Did you ever expect her to cut her floor-length locks? Man, she looks like a new person with those red curls. Jimmy smiled. Reth remained speechless as the memory of their last interaction played in his head. They both exchanged a wink as she walked past him to give her speech, adorned by a summa cum laude cord. He was just happy to have paid off his tuition in time to walk stage, and his cum laude cord was icing on top. Earth to Reth, Jimmy sang out. My bad, Reth responded. Gotta close the show. You ready or are you speechless now? He teased. Reth rolled his eyes and walked on stage, pulling Jimmy along to carry out the next portion of the event. We are so proud of the work and the sacrifices all of you have been making over the past few hours, Reth encouraged. Many of you will be on the strict budget, maybe eating some oodles and noodles for the next few weeks, but it is all for a great cause. I am sure your waistlines won't mind the needed rest from your lavish meals, Jimmy joked. As a community, you all band together and managed to fulfill one of the last wishes of the iconic Dr. J.H. She gave and sacrificed not only her time, but her career to every class she taught at Edgar High, and we owe it to ourselves and her to show that it was not in vain. I can tell you now that we exceeded her wishes of $500K. You all have done so well that the junior class will be able to reap from your donations tonight, Reth exclaimed. Because the donations are still rolling in, the final number will be posted on the Edgar online portal. But what number do we have for them right now, Reth? Combining the value of some assured jobs and the monetary donations, we have hit $780,700. The audience roared in joy and excitement at the donation mark. Now, it was brought to our attention that someone gave one of our biggest single donations and requested a quick striptease by your boyish co-host, Reth. But this is a PG-13 donation drive, so we will have to deny that request. But he is still single, so we can send him over to the address for a private show. Jimmy laughed, sending the audience into a laughing fit. Reth shook his head with a large smile on his face, but didn't let the compliment get to his head. He was always the okay-looking guy growing up, and figured that was the reason Nia never wanted to be with him. When he got to college, he worked on his body and his self-esteem. He wasn't going to be the nerdy, tolerable friend. He wanted his presence to make women, specifically Nia, fawn over him. Unfortunately for him, his efforts didn't change their relationship as he had hoped, but it did land him his first situationship. Okay, we are almost to the last 30 minutes of the drive, so tell your mama, tell your friends, and even get your company or employer involved because you wouldn't be making them money without the influence of the woman we are here in honor of, Jimmy urged as they neared the end of the fundraiser. The principal signaled for the end of their hosting shift so she could close out the program. The men were relieved to not be under the bright lights anymore and gladly returned to their tables where Reth's nerves started to unravel again. He wasn't given much time to calm down as he was approached by classmates and students congratulating him on the job well done and hugs from his mom. I already knew that my good looks would get us over the goal. Jimmy laughed as they broke away from the crowd and headed to the concession booth. So, are we celebrating this huge accomplishment tonight? Reth asked as he handed Jimmy a bottle of water. Jimmy nodded his head as he gulped down water. We have more to celebrate than a successful fundraiser. You, my friend, got the promotion of your dreams 2 months ago, and we did nothing about it because you were busy working to keep that promotion. Then again, you probably celebrated in a big way with that crazy chick you got. Jimmy chuckled. What was it this time? A foursome? And did you use your Jedi Tantra skills on them? Nah, no such thing occurred. Plus, sex isn't a gift or a celebratory practice, especially if you have it regularly. I've never understood that either. Sex is overrated. Worst gift ever. Both men looked around until they landed on Nia's bright smile. Neither of them had seen her for years, and she was not the same young girl they had last seen. Dang, girl, you got more body than you got attitude, and you got a lot of attitudes, Jimmy joked as he hugged her. Where have you been? Did you run back to the islands? Nia laughed and squeezed Jimmy, who was cooing over her transformation. She grew up a naturalist, forced to live on raw foods to avoid bad karma from slaughtered animals, so her frame was always on the thin side. When she finally got free of her loving but restrictive parents, she landed her first real relationship with Zuma, who was just as dictatorial as her West Indian parents. Zuma tried to convince her to lose her locks in exchange for a buzzed cut and to dive headfirst into religion, which was against her upbringing. He was able to win some battles, but ultimately he lost the war. Hey, stranger, Nia sang as she gazed at Reth. Reth smiled at the connotation of those words, but stayed platonic as he greeted her with a friendly hug that put space between them from the waist down. I see you're not my string bean anymore. Hey, I was more like a celery stick in college, but unfortunately a marshmallow in high school. I can say the same about you, though, he chuckled. Jimmy looked on with a huge grin on his face as they interacted. His head bounced back and forth as though he was watching a ping-pong match as he stayed on the lips of the person talking. You remind me of a Venus flytrap. Are you waiting for a fly to land on your tongue? Nia teased as she glanced at Jimmy. You're just as mean as I remember, he defended as he shook his head and folded his arms. Mean and damn sexy. Don't mind this married man who is about to be a father of two, Reth chimed in. You just bitter. You're still a side piece. Plus, she isn't any more single than I am, Jimmy retorted. Nia playfully yawned and covered her mouth with her left hand, showing the lack of tattoo or ring on her wedding finger. Oh, excuse me. I had to yawn, so I used my light hand, since my pimp hand was preparing to meet your face, Jimmy, she hissed playfully. I see you haven't had any in a while, so you're taking your frustrations out on the sexiest man in the room. I'm letting you know right now, I won't end your dry spell, although you're begging for those curves to be adored by these hands, Jimmy joked. Wait, what? Nia responded with furrowed brows. I'm out, Jimmy chimed as he walked off with a pep in his step. I seriously don't remember him being so outgoing and outspoken, Reth interjected. Nia turned to Reth and shook her head. I was going to say dramatic. Reth nodded silently with a smirk. Nia's smile withered away as she opened her mouth and closed it without words exiting. It's nice to see you again, Nia. Nia blushed and tried to break eye contact, but couldn't. She stood mesmerized at the man she had not seen in almost a decade. Her stomach fluttered, but she did her best to ignore it and try to remember how angry she was with him. I want to say the same, but I'm still mad at you, she responded. Guilt surged through Reth as he wondered if she found out about the motivating factor of his actions all those years ago. He played it cool, nodded to her to go have a seat with him. Maybe later. I have a lot of people I need to catch up with today, she responded. Sure, I'm here for the next 2 days, he informed, before walking away. He walked out the hall to get some fresh air and to decide what he would spend the rest of his night doing. His mood was thrown off when he saw Nia, and all the memories came flashing back. Hey, how did that conversation go? Jimmy asked as he approached Reth. It didn't go anywhere, really, Reth yawned and stretched. I left 'cause I thought maybe y'all needed some privacy to talk about that night and maybe plan out having some make-up sex in that rinky-dink bed of yours. Jimmy chuckled. Reth ran his hand through his sparse, jet-black beard and let his brows rise then fall. I don't see any reason to revisit the past. Why is everything about sex with you tonight? Jimmy's shoulders rose then fell as his face grew repentant. Truth be told, it's been 2 months since I last had a happy ending, and the twins have at minimum another month to go. I don't know what to do with myself. Worst of it all is, she will need at least another 6 weeks recovery time. Brother, there are accessories for men, and there's also other forms of sex that have nothing to do with the ass or the yoni, Reth suggested. I would love to get my dick sucked, but she sucks at it literally, and I can't bear to tell her, Jimmy sighed. Then I suggest you get online or drive to the store and get some accessories because you are getting out of pocket with the sex talk, Reth chuckled. You mean like toys? Toys that women have? No, but if that's what you're into, I'm not judging you, but there are accessories specifically for men, some great ones at that. Jimmy chuckled and ran his hand over his freshly shaven chin. I'm guessing you've been around the block, huh? A man's got to do what a man's got to do. It's better than sounding like a 13-year-old boy who hasn't discovered masturbation yet, Reth joked. I didn't know side dudes ran out of life partners. What, are your contracts all up, or did that crazy chick run them all off? Jimmy rebutted with a grin. Reth rolled his eyes at Jimmy and smiled. You may think you're funny, but you're not. I'ma head out. Make the best of the night. Wait, so you're not going to at least talk to her about that night? Even if you don't go into details? Y'all need to make up. It's been like 8 years or something, Jimmy argued. I personally don't mind being your number one friend, but you two belong together. What do you really want me to tell her? Reth grunted with his arms folded. The motivation behind the act. The fact that she led you on for years like some lovesick puppy. That your dad was sick and resources were tight, so you had to do what you had to do. All of it, Jimmy rattled. Are you crazy? She stopped talking to me because she swore I told y'all about that night already, and I didn't. You want me to bring it back up and give her worse news? He prattled as he shook his head. Look, It was what it was, and you had a good motive to try and chop down the homie. I'm sure she would rather hear the truth than to think you were the one kissing and telling. Reth laughed. You do know I never actually had sex with her, right? She knows it couldn't have been me, yet she chose to stop talking to me. Reth snarled. Okay, I'm gonna drop it because you getting your Speedos in a damn bunch. Jimmy prattled with his hands up. I was trying to talk you into maybe getting your bestie lover friend back, but I'm gonna stay out. Then again, she's always been uptight about her image, so maybe what you say wouldn't matter. Exactly, Reth responded with a sigh. She's always put others before me. Some best friend. If she was a real friend, she would have never cut me off and ignored me like that. I've gotten over it now. I'm good. Reth lied as he quickly shuffled his shoulders. You think she ever been digged down, right? Then again, to be that into an old man, it's either money or the sex, right? Jimmy asked as he stared off in space. Wait, what if she's actually still a virgin? She likes being Miss Goody Two-Shoes for her hippie parents, so maybe that Zoom guy never got any. Reth's brows furrowed as he looked over at his best friend in confusion. What? Man, I don't know. I'm sleeping sex deprived. Jimmy laughed, turning to dap Reth. Reth dapped him and gave a strong arm. Go to your hotel and stay there, please. He chuckled. Jimmy stepped back and laughed. Man, I'm not going to do anything. My wife ain't here, and I refuse to visit a sex shop in this small town. My mama will hear about it before I get on my flight in the morning. I'm good, though. It's a struggle. Obviously, being the gigolo that you are, you wouldn't know. Reth rolled his eyes and let his head drop back. I'm out, 'cause you're wildin'. Please, your well runneth over since our college days. You don't even know what the word celibate means, and I blame Nia. She broke your heart and ruined you for every woman you would ever come in contact with and don't see it, and she don't want to own up to it. Hey, we aren't all on a mission to find our soulmates, Jimmy. I don't see why everyone thinks I'm waiting for Nia. I'm my own man, and I'm fine the way that I am, Reth scolded. Damn, who hurt you? Oh, right, Nia. Jimmy laughed. Ugh. Reth grunted as he grew tense. You know what? Just text me when you're leaving. Bye, he blurted before walking off.